Hello, hello, hello.
What's up, man? How
So
are you?
how was New York?
It's a trip, man. It's a trip to be back. As much as I love California, I was kind of getting used to that New York living, not having a care in the world. Well, that's not true, but
Being
but
on
just
vacation?
yeah, just being on vacation and all the different foods and stuff. And went to this movie theater. They're supposed to have like the biggest IMAX screen in the United States, and it's
In New York?
at the Lincoln Square.
That's saying
Lincoln
something.
Lincoln Square in New York, and it was a trip. So I went there to go check out a movie, and I was thinking like, I wanted to see John Wick, but I knew it wasn't going to come out yet. But I wanted to
Mm,
just go check out, see a movie in that big old screen, right? Since I'm in the area and I love movies, why not go check it out on the
right.
IMAX screen out here? So I go, and this is supposed to be this really nice movie theater. So I get there, and they got like this almost like this hazmat tent in front of it, right? And I'm kind of looking, and they got like a ladder that's kind of like they're working on something, and some curtain stuff was up, so some stuff was kind of blocked off, and I'm like,
Not good first impression.
right. I'm like, this is what everybody was bragging about. Oh, okay, I'm a little concerned. Okay. And so then I go in, and it looks kind of cool, looks kind of old but kind of modern. They have a guy that's working behind these kiosks, but all the kiosks is kind of like you pick the movie you want from this big iPad on this thing and get your ticket and all that kind of stuff. And all the theaters are upstairs on the second floor. So I'm going up the escalator, and I'm looking off to the side. It's all like blocked off and got tarps and coverings and
It's under
stuff.
construction.
Right, under construction. And I was gonna try to go out and see an IMAX movie, but it was no IMAX movies playing that day. So I guess they was working on it or something. And so
Uh,
I'm going up the escalator, and I see the escalator that leads to the IMAX, and they got this big old look like a sign that's in front of it, but then they got like this black covering over it where it's blocking you from getting on that escalator. I'm afraid of heights, right? I'm looking at that escalator that goes to the IMAX screen, and it goes straight up, and like several floors.
and you're like, I'm glad it's not open today. I'm really glad.
Part of me, okay, the part of me that's afraid of heights is kind of like, hell no. It should be three more floors up, but then you don't see the levels. It just goes straight to
Oh,
and it's
okay.
and it is nothing behind it. It's
Oh,
nothing
because it's all
like
that stadium seating.
right. So that whole thing is saying that that screen is so big that like there's no third, fourth, or fifth floor because those floors will impede on the space for the screen. I'm assuming because it goes up to like almost look like the sixth floor, right, with nothing in between it. So it's nothing. It's no pillars behind the escalator to hold it up. It's just like
There's a
second
straight gap.
floor to go up, right? And I'm looking at that and I'm thinking like, part of me is like, I'm glad I can't get on it. And the other part of me is like, my geekness wants to see that damn screen now. Like I'm this close. I,
Right?
I want in. I might have a heart attack and faint on the way up. And they might have to revive me once I get to the top. But I wanted to see what that was. And so I go into my movie. I end up seeing the movie 65 with Adam Driver.
Okay.
That was an interesting movie.
Did you already drop your review for that? I think that's the
Yeah.
one you dropped today. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I
I'm
dropped
not
a review
crazy.
for it. And this is during the day, so it wasn't a lot of people out there. So I went to go get my popcorn or whatnot. And so I went there, and it's these dudes were in line, and they were still trying to decide what they wanted. And they said, "Oh man, go ahead, you go ahead and go. Well, we're not sure what we want yet." So I'm looking up there. I'm like, I'm trying to figure out what I want. And he's like, "So what are you gonna go see?" And I was like, "Man, I want to see John Wick because I was hoping that I could see it out here on this big IMAX screen, but it's shut down. But so I'm gonna go see this movie 65." And he said, "Oh yeah, we just saw that. We just saw that John Wick. It was really good." I'm like, "Huh? Like, how'd you see it? What do you mean?" He said, "Yeah, we just saw it. We do security. Tonight we're having a big premiere." So Keanu
Uh,
Reeves and everybody was coming to that theater, and
no.
that's why everything was blocked off, roped off, and covered up because they having a big premiere where everybody
Uh-huh.
world premiere they're having there at that theater, and that's
Had to
why.
make sure everything was right.
Dude. Okay, now I know in my eyes I must have been looking like, like take me.
Right? Please.
And I think that if I would have bumped into that dude earlier, I bet you he probably could have worked something out for me. But I know if you have all those stars and stuff coming in, it's gonna be like that kind of a thing that you can't just be no last minute,
Yeah, no.
hey, you want to come kind of thing. I bet you if it was like the day before, probably would have been a different thing.
Right?
But
Get
I
me in
was
the
hoping,
back
man.
door.
Yeah, exactly. Or give me a badge and be like your honorary security. So go ahead and check it out. But man, I was so close because Weird stuff like that happens for me. So I wouldn't have been surprised if that kind of thing would have been like I would have went to New York or went to that John Wick premiere with all them stars there. That would have really made that trip to New York. But the real reason I was there is for Malaya and her color guard, and they performed in the St. Patrick's Day parade.
Oh wow.
It was so cool.
That's got to be a trip doing any sort of parade thing
Yes.
in a city with buildings just that monumentally big.
Exactly. It was so impressive. And it's just like the feeling of it. And, from the kids coming from like a small town to this big old city that's just, like you said, on this other level, it's a trip. It's a trip. And I got kind of choked up. It was just amazing to see all the hard work and all the stuff they've been through and them training for it and being tired. And every weekend we're doing these competitions and stuff. And just for the band to be there for a town that most of those people probably never heard of before, except for it was announced there. And they're up there representing it and representing well. It was a beautiful sight. And I was glad that I could be there to witness it personally. But when I saw Malay and the girls, I was just like, man, I am so proud, so proud. But yeah, man. So main reason we were out there was for that. But I also did my movie stuff. I made sure I got a lot of food. I ate every day, different spots. Went to Midtown Comics, which is several levels of comic book stuff and action figures. Dude, man, I was cutting up. It was Geek's Paradise for me. I was not playing. I had all.
Did your wallet take some hits that day?
And I didn't care.
I'll take one of these and one of these and one of these and a new display case.
Man, it was just so cool just to see all that stuff and to be there in that city and just to kind of get immersed in that life, just the hustle and bustle of it all. It was just cool. Did some sightseeing, checked out some of the spots where they filmed John Wick movies.
Well, that spot you sent the pictures of with the tunnel, I think is too derogatory a term for that because I've seen it in everything.
Yeah.
But I never realized that the ceiling for that tunnel space was so ornate. It looks like tile. Like it's like wow.
Yeah, it looked like it's almost lit up too. I've seen some more pictures of it. It was gorgeous. It was gorgeous. And they had a young lady that was in there. I guess she's one of the students from Juilliard or something. I think it's not too far from there. And she was singing some opera. And the acoustics in there.
I have heard opera singers like to sing in the bathroom because the tile has good acoustics.
Yeah, man, it's real, man. It's real. So just to be there and be kind of serenaded in a way, it's just unreal how beautiful it is. So yeah, so it was really neat and a lot to take in. So it's a lot of going to bed at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, waking up, early, running around, kind of taking care of stuff. So I squeezed all the juice out of that apple. I, went to the top of the Rockefeller building, went to Isles Island and let's see the Statue of Liberty, just everything. Went to Harlem. My boy John, matter of fact, I met him, I think it was like in 93. And I met him on a Greyhound bus going to Sacramento, and he was going to school out there. And he's from New York, he's from the Bronx, and we've been friends ever since. I was drawing on the bus, and he looked over my shoulder and he's like, "Oh man, I like the artwork you're doing." And he's into Batman and comic books and stuff, and we just struck up a friendship, and we've been friends ever since. And most of the time, he's coming, to the Bay Area, and we catch up and hang out and stuff. And so it was nice to finally go out there, and because last time I was out in New York, he wasn't out there. So this time he was, and he met me at the airport and stuff, hooked me up with a Metro pass so I could just kind of go on everything I need to go on. It was prepaid for me. And if I got stuck and I was, "Hey man, how do I get here?" Blah, blah, blah. "Oh, take this exit. This is this. And I'll see you after work and we'll go get food." And it was great. It was great.
Own personal guide. It's so fucking handy. Oh
man,
my God.
Having cool people in your life, it does have its benefits.
Right.
Have its benefits.
And episode 3 has a bookend at the beginning and the end that is the continuation of Mandu, Grogu, and Bo-Katan. Middle of it, we got a whole other story on Coruscant. So I think we should just finish with Bo-Katan and Mando.
Yes.
And then go to the middle chunk after.
Okay, we can do it that way.
They're thematically connected, but they're not connected.
Yes.
So they go back to Bo-Katan's castle, and it's under attack by Imperials.
Now this is an awesome air battle. Awesome.
Everything that pirate fight wasn't. It's so fucking worked for me.
I was thinking this time, I was like, this time he's not going to complain about this one. He's going to agree.
Nope. No complaints. They did so many great things. So basically there's like 3 TIE fighters, I think, at first.
Yes.
There's 3 TIE fighters, and they're getting harassed by them. And I think it might be like 5. They shoot like 2 of them down. And the plan is, like, we can't handle these TIE fighters with just your otherwise nice ship. Yes. I need to get to mine.
Yep.
So you're going to buzz the castle where it's parked, and I'm going to jump out in my jetpack.
Mm-hmm.
Going full action hero.
Right.
And I love jumps out, jetpacks down, slows down, and biffs the landing.
And I love that. I love that.
He doesn't do the 3-point hero landing. He like stumbles.
Right.
Jumps back up on his feet, like he's okay, but he just doesn't perfectly land the land. And it's the little things where someone's not always perfectly hyper competent to give you concern and worry, right? Where they're just scrambling just a little bit, right?
Right. And he got to jump into that ship because they're gunning for him. They show the ship locked on him, making their way down, and he jumps in that ship, and the way he takes off, straight up, he pulled like. It would have been the Batman move if it would have been a moon in the background, but he goes straight up.
I did see hilariously someone make that reference.
Flip around, drop back down.
The funny thing is, so there's that joke, which I don't think that they were going for, from the original Michael Keaton movie. But that's an actual like old school dogfighting tactic.
Yeah.
Right? You just burn out all your thrust and then turn around and drop right back down on your target.
Yeah.
That whole dogfight, right? They're even doing stuff where it's like, I go left, you go right, pick them off. Like, that's teamwork. I'm a sucker for teamwork.
when I saw that ship and then one fin turned up and she made that turn, and then they had the stream coming from the wings, and it was and you could kind of see the direction from the left, and it just added so much to it. It was so nuanced. It really was.
It was the characters.
Sloppy. You didn't lose the direction. You didn't lose where certain things were. You knew the placement of everything, so you understood the layout. It was
the characters doing a lot of dope shit, and not just like pew 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 pew, like just fastly shooting stuff, but like making distinct tactical decisions in the and
it wasn't like she was just so good. She was like, I flew these since I was a kid. Like she knew them, and she was like, well, maybe I forgot a little bit, but but I like how it wasn't like this magic thing of just being so good. Like I said, she used to do it all the time. It was like she knew that.
Didn't she make some joke to Grogu, like, your dad's not the only Mandalorian?
Yes.
Something like that. It was
because she kicked so much ass, and Grogu was kind of looking at her. She was like, you didn't think your dad's the only Mandalorian, did you? Because but she said that when he was fighting the Alamites, because she had like wrapped her legs up and pulled them, knocked one down, and
the whole dogfight thing was so good. And I mean, it was also tragic because the dogfight takes them sort of down the coast and around the hills, and she's like, I know these hills since I was a kid. And it's also like, okay, it might have changed a little bit. But coming back after taking out the TIE fighters, you got the TIE bombers just blowing the shit out of her ancestral castle. And the last thing that she had is gone. Like, maybe the ship, but like everything else that she's ever had has now been destroyed and taken from her.
And that's why when she was heading towards him, was going to get some, retribution.
Oh,
and you saw a whole squadron coming for her. She did not turn. She was heading straight for them. And Mando's like, there's too many of them. You can't handle them. We need to leave. He even flew in front of her to kind of snap her out of it, because she was going straight for them. She didn't care.
And the beautiful thing with that is that, there's a lot of times where, like, I think we were complaining about this with, like, sort of Suri's choice in, like, Wakanda Forever. It's like, you don't believe the choice. She's going to do the right thing, But for Bo-Katan, in that moment, is like, I could totally see her going, fuck these guys.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take down as many as I can.
And she didn't blink. She didn't blink.
She didn't blink. Like, Jin might have had to be like, you got my kid on board, right? But she'd like, hey, he's a fucking foundling. Game on. But yeah, Din,
use the force best you can, because you gonna need it.
Din having to like fly in front of her.
Yeah.
You like, we need to get out of here.
He cut the concentration. He had to break that up because she was locked in on him.
Laser vision.
Yeah. Yeah, he broke that up. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, that was some rough stuff for Bo-Katan. Like, which makes it such a great scene, because like it starts off, oh no, we're under attack, but it's mostly like triumphant, right? Like, yes, they are outnumbered, but they are defying the odds, and they're beating them and knocking them back and killing them all off, and they blew up your fucking house when you weren't looking, and now more of them are coming, and you cannot win. Right. It's such a great downturn, right, for Bo-Katan. Oh man, she's having a rough time. So that's the end of the intro bookend. Okay. Yep. And then we come back, and they basically, the end of that scene, they jump to hyperspace. Right. Like, Mando's like, I know a place. Here's the coordinates. Yeah. And they jump back to the cave where episode 1 was. So they had the big stupid monster fight. And he shows up, and they both land their ships, and they're like, hey, fuckface, you're an apostate. He's like, yo, buds, I did the thing. And
I got the juice.
I got the juice to prove it. And they're like, okay, yeah, we'll see. And like, you can definitely read, and this is for, again, people that know sort of Bo-Katan's history, like, Mando's crew has a reason to not like her because she joined one of, like, she accuses them of like splintering Mandalore, like leaving, but like, she participated in one of the civil wars. Like, she helped accidentally Darth Maul. Like, so they're giving her a lot of shade of like, like, Mando establishes, like, you're my guest. They are not going to mess with you. Right. But that's also contingent on them letting him back in because he's the apostate. But it's all cool. Goes through. Says, hey, I went and did the thing. Here's the water. Armor is like, the water's good. All right, cool. You are no longer an apostate.
Right. And I thought it was interesting when she was saying, like, I witnessed it, and they didn't care. And it's like, who are you?
Right.
I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
Good thing he had the juice.
Yes, because they would have been like, your word ain't shit.
Right.
But then it's like, nope, oh, the juice is good. Okay, cool. And it's like, you fell in too. And I thought that was like, yes, I did.
I thought that was beautiful.
So it's like, you've been anointed too then. It's like, we take this shit seriously. You went in the waters.
And I thought it was interesting because earlier, Mando told her not to take off her helmet. And he was just saying it just like, they're very particular about that kind of thing. Just leave your helmet on. So that was brought up, because she wasn't really trying to hear it. But I thought it was very interesting. But I love when people slip into situations. Yeah, because I think she wasn't expecting all the love. Because first she saw, like, everybody kind of congratulating Mando, touching him and stuff. And they started doing the same thing for her. And she was kind of like,
after she's lost everyone and everything.
And she was told, like, you don't have to stay here. You can stay here as long as you want. And you can leave when you want. Right. But until you do leave, we are your family.
Right.
I was like,
you're one of us.
Oh. It was so beautiful. It was
some strong feels. And I love that I think it's the last shot, right? She's being congratulated and literal pats on the back.
Yeah. And
she's looking across the armorer's cave, and on the far wall is the sigil of Mandalore, which is the mythosaur skull.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, we know what you're thinking about. We know what's on your mind, because what was a quaint little, the creed means something now.
Yes.
Right? It's starting to mean something to Bo-Katan, right?
Yes, and I love how she's not confident in it, like you said. So she's not saying anything, but she's putting her puzzle together behind the scenes. So
Behind the mask.
yeah,
Behind the mask.
so nobody knows all the pieces that she have and how it's really coming together. And you know, she don't even know how she feels about it, so she can't even share because
she's gonna.
Oh yeah, she will.
She's gonna.
She will. But I'm just saying, at this point,
the interesting thing is going to be, because really, again, who's got the Darksaber, right? And who's earned the Darksaber by combat. So either, because I still believe her purpose in her head is to reunite and rebuild Mandalore.
Yeah.
And I think now, so there's going to be a little bit of Dune in play. So the whole thing with Dune is that there's a mythos of the mother and the child coming to Dune to lead the Fremen and da-da-da-da. And it's like, yes, that is what happens. And Paul and his mother at first, and certainly his mother, approach that cynically and use that myth to their own ends to protect themselves. But Paul starts to be like, oh, I can see the future. Shit, this is actually going to happen, right?
Right.
For Bo-Katan, she has the choice of either, because if she lets drop that, yeah, it's not poison, but also I saw the fucking mythosaur,
right?
That's gonna be the biggest ripple through surviving Mandalorians. Who she tells and why she tells them is going to be super indicative of what she's going to do, because she can approach that cynically, and I'm going to use this as propaganda to her own ends, or she can tell Din because she thinks he should beat the mythosaur and he should be the Mandalorian, right? Also, she too could be like, I have to do this the right way. I have to step into these are the criteria for prophecy. I'm going to follow the criteria to prophecy then, right?
Right.
Whether she's doing that cynically, true believer, something in between, it's going to be some fun storytelling.
Yeah, I can't wait. I love where this is going. I love that it's early enough to kind of get all the meat out of the way, so you can just kind of have
you can play out the repercussions of it. And the beautiful thing too is, like, again, the naming thing. Like, someone was pointing out that even in previous episodes, a lot of times they'll have the name, like the apostate or the convert, and it's not always talking about the person you think it's about. Sure. And it's sometimes talking about two people in the same episode.
Exactly.
And this is a perfect example of that with episode 3.
Exactly, because the other side of this namesake of this episode, which is the convert, this is like a whole other show. To me, this kind of had Andor vibes in a way, to me. As far as the behind the scenes workings, I don't know. I guess this part of this chunk of this story is so they're on what, Coruscant, and they have like a formal imperial
they have a
doctor
TED Talk
that finds amnesty, and with the New Republic, and it's kind of like his journey, which I thought was very interesting, because when it came up, I thought that it was going to be touched upon in a different way, like it was going to weave directly into this episode, dealing with Mando and everything, which I didn't understand how it would, and it kind of didn't, which was fine. But
it doesn't. It does thematically, but
we have two converts going on here, Bo-Katan, and then also
Dr. Pershing.
Good doctor.
I was surprised by this, because I think I mentioned last time, like, oh, we haven't seen the stuff with the doctor, because that's in like the trailer. Well, that's all we're going to see of the doctor as this episode played out. It was wild because it touched on so many different things. So clearly it sets up there's an amnesty program for Imperials that are leaving the Empire, right? That want to rejoin the rest of the galaxy, or at least have a place in the New Republic. So the Empire is truly falling apart at this point. And they've got a rehabilitation program. Right? So they're taking these people in, and it's interesting because they're stripping them of their old names. They're giving them like number letter designations.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw some people, there was a lot of different reads on this. And so some were like, oh, they're dehumanizing them. And as we see, they do something unpleasant to Dr. Pershing at the end, but they're legitimately doing things that are trying to break them away from their old identities, presumably to then rebuild them into quote unquote productive citizens, whatever that looks like.
This was very reminiscent of basic training, where they shave your head, you don't even have your full name, you're called by your rank.
Clearly have a
everybody's same uniform, and you have regiment that you eat at the same time, you march at the same time, you sleep at the same time, you rise at the same time, you march all day in unison. So when I saw that, I was like, that's very interesting how that is. But then also, even though it's kind of used to manipulate, it came up more than once how the two entities are almost interchangeable. Like it's like saying like it's almost hard to tell who's who. It kind of played on, and that's kind of the truth. It's kind of the truth. It's like it depends on who's telling the story. Not always just that, but it could be.
I think this was what was a little bit upsetting for some people because the New Republic's supposed to be the good guys. And supposed to be, and this gets into like the setup for the sequels, right? Of how, if the New Republic is doing also well and great, does the First Order come out of nowhere? And it's because the New Republic's not doing great. Mm-hmm. Right? It's not doing perfect. Like there's all these, and they have like books that they wrote and stuff as the sequels were coming out. They're like, the New Republic's kind of struggling a lot. Like Leia got forced out of office because basically people that were already sort of like agitating towards having a breakaway First Order found out who her dad was and released that information publicly. Mm-hmm. Like the New Republic struggles in a lot of ways, and it's not able to really cleanly execute as a governing body. And shocker, it's also really bureaucratic. Like they did a really good job with showing how the people through this re-education program are also cut off, and like they're being he gets interviewed like twice by like clearly like a psychologist droid who's not like doing like surface level questions, right? Like if you're building a reintegration program, you also don't want to put all, like if you're reintegrating a bunch of space Nazis, you don't all put them in the same place all the time. You get them and you're going to integrate this one into this group of nice people, and you're going to take this other one and try and integrate them in this group. So you pull them into the community instead of isolated. So it was, I think, a shock to people of like, oh, it's not Star Trek Utopia? I'm like, no, and that kind of sucks and it's disappointing, but like there's also the just unpleasantness of what happens to Dr. Pershing.
But there's also like the callousness too of the New Republic, of the way with the processing, with having the droids be the one to kind of be the council and all that kind of stuff. And then even the fact that that this person is highly intelligent. If he's talking about cloning in his presentation, what he used to do, and then you're going to have him as like, getting rid of old tapes.
It does suck that he's.
But that just shows that they don't care. You think that mind that wonders and wanted to solve things are just gonna dim because you didn't take the time to know him, to know what because it's almost like the idle hand kind of thing. Mm-hmm. You see, he's taking on more work than he needs to because his mind is busy, and you got him doing some mindless stuff. Of course, even if it didn't go down the way it went down in this episode, it could have happened anyway, just because you need to feed him more. He has a bigger appetite. Yeah. And you're not trying to steer it, you're trying to cut it off. That pressure is there. I at least like the fact that he said that he thought he was doing something good. It was just being used the wrong way. And I appreciate that. And the New Republic didn't take the time to even see that. They could say no or whatever, but to just be like, cut it off, just stop it.
Right.
Versus trying to steer it in a way that will help everybody, or at least, have the conversation.
So I was thinking about this. during cat litter last week. And the thing is, like, it brings up some really interesting things with them not, like, bringing the doctor in and being like, okay, you're clearly brilliant. Like, it's based in childhood trauma. Like, we could have, like, cloned an organ from my mom and saved her. We should have this technology. And it's just he came to fruition in a time where it's like, oh, I'm working for the Empire. Fuck. But his heart's in the right place, but it's being used in a horrible way. Yeah. So, for one, there is a gentleman by the name of Fritz Harber, and we're gonna do some fun history here. So, Fritz Harber was a German chemist, and in like the 1920s, he was the one that like figured out how to do nitrate fertilizer, right? And that changed the whole fucking world, because now we could do industrial agriculture, right? And like probably fended off a whole bunch of like horrible like starvation and things like that. But then, and he got like prestigious awards and all that sort of stuff. And then World War I kind of started. And he was like, if we do this other process, we could end the war a lot quicker by inventing mustard gas. And he invented mustard gas because he thought it would end the war quicker, which is literally the same rationale the United States used to drop the bomb on Hiroshima. Right? And so that didn't play out very well for him in the end, because he invented a way of doing horrible atrocities in the war, and it kind of destroyed him. He went on to try and do another thing, but like this guy has the most fucked up sort of life of like ups and downs. Yeah. So that was one thing that came to mind, is like Pershing is that scientist trying to do the right thing and getting caught up in probably experiments on Grogu to do things he probably would have been really upset about if they went to fruition.
And that's when to grow old.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing about somebody who's trying to solve things and problem solve, and not considering what your tool or your answer,
right,
what somebody would do with those things. The tool is not evil, it's the person who's wielding it.
Sadly, on his point, he knew what he was doing with mustard gas. Like, didn't like it, but I think the other thing is going to show down the road is like, oh, Pershing's technology got used to clone Emperor Palpatine. Oh, okay, who gives a shit? But the other thing about this program that I was thinking of is the fact they didn't use him, right? And like, understandably, that's like, why wouldn't you use his genius? And then it's like, oh yeah, all those Rocketeer Nazis that we brought into the NASA program, right? Like, the United States did do that. And there's still people that are pissed off about that because we hid Nazi scientists within NASA, right? And so it's like, well, and it's a giant bureaucracy. I like that it's muddied, right? It's not, we are the good guys, we do all the right things.
We have borrowed and shared a lot that we don't like to tell people who our bedfellows are.
Right.
But I think it's been very brave, like especially with Andor, and it's doing it with this again, how they're not afraid to have the full breadth of the situation. This is the most real I've seen anything dealing with politics in the real world, and it's on a damn sci-fi show. But,
right.
But the way they're dealing with it and the logic and the reality of these things is played out more realistic in these shows than what we're getting on any show that talks 24 hours a day about politics or the government. Right. You could hear stuff, 24 hours a day, and they all be skewed or on purpose.
Obfuscating.
Yes. And so to have these shows that's speaking so much truth even if it's kind of abstract, it's not really not even that abstract, but it's just interesting how this is kind of telling the truth of situations, and it's very refreshing, almost off-putting, because you're not used to having medicine that don't taste good, but it'll cure you. So
yeah, it was an interesting this whole thing with Dr. Pershing and Aaliyah, I think is Aaliyah Kane, I think is the character's name.
So I'll tell you this, just to even save time, I never believed it.
Which part?
I didn't trust it from the beginning.
Didn't trust her?
Yes.
Same.
But then the way he looked at her, really no. I didn't know what part or whatever, or how exactly, how it's going to unfold, but I knew that, like, no. That's a problem.
I think her acting and the directing did an amazing job of doing very quiet menace. Very quiet menace with just enough believability of sincerity of like, hey, we used to serve on the same ship. Yeah, it's not the great. Oh yeah, miss these things. Oh yeah, maybe we could be a friend. She's just a little too quiet. Yeah. And it was funny because like I remember at the start of the episode they previously on, and they just had a little snippet of her character on Gideon's ship, right? Because that's where she's from. And I spent like the first 5 minutes trying to remember where I'd seen her from, because she was on, was it The Rookie or something recently, and we saw the episode that she was on. But they did a great job here of just having her be just barely believable enough that like she wants to help out the doctor, that the doctor would believe it, but also just enough off-putting where the reveal, which is she's setting up Pershing to get caught, so that the Republic brings in the not the mind flare to like scramble his brain just gently, little Leroy adjustment, and she cranks it up to 11.
I even knew that was going to happen. And it wasn't that it wasn't played well, it was, but it was just almost anything he needed to be dismantled, because there's certain things, Jenga pieces that are in there to keep him, you know, when he's going through his process of rehabilitation. And she's pulling all the things. You don't have to literally go by the rules, or you could just do this, or
nudge.
You could, right, at just the right places. Like, you don't have to literally, because even the stuff with the, you know, you want to touch the rock, you want to touch the tip of the mountain,
right?
You know,
she's just all that stuff. A little bit of rule breaking.
She's constantly having him to stick his toe in the water. They're saying don't do it. It's still new. He ain't been there long enough to know the world for himself, and she's constantly making him step a line. And,
right.
You know, even the little stuff like
it's a beautiful game of entrapment.
Yes,
like,
it was.
Because the thing is, like, clearly the Republic security forces that show up know that she's in on it. Like, she's one of their officers. We see later. So like this whole thing is an enticement to present to them like, oh, he's going to go and try and do things he's not supposed to, so that she can erase his memories and scramble his brain.
Okay, so
good.
So what I thought was going to end up happening, well, do we need to, so do you think we should go through what exactly happened?
I mean, briefly, she basically like, hey, you want to do your research? And he's like, yeah. She's like, okay, we get a mobile medical cart, a mobile lab, basically. And he's like, okay. She's like, all right, follow me. Be ready at night, and we're going to go and sneak on this subway car and basically break into a decommissioning plant for Star Destroyers, because they got tons of equipment on those things. They go in, they get the stuff. Oh no, there's people here. Run. We're caught. And then she's like, ha, you're under arrest. He's like, what? Okay. That's basically what happens.
Well said. And so what I thought was going to end up happening was when he went to the facility and he saw the equipment and it looked a really nice looking lab, and she's like, take what you want. I thought that Moff Gideon was going to come out and they was going to trap him. Like she was still with him, was going to almost tricked him into going to a lab and was going to lock him up in there and make him work for them.
I had no clue what she was doing. I just know it wasn't what she said it was. Like there was another shoe that was gonna get dropped. Okay. Right.
I was surprised that she was working in that capacity with them. I thought he was gonna be in a lab and he was gonna be able to go and do research. And now
he's like, I'm back, motherfuckers. Right. But yeah, this is interesting too. Again, someone who loves spies. She's basically a mole in the New Republic now. Right? She has no other reason to like nuke this guy's brain,
right?
Other than making sure the New Republic does not get his cloning technology, right? That what he knows not only about cloning, but what that cloning was for and what experiments he did. So that is my guess for the motivation for nuking him.
I agree. Get rid of the evidence, and then also with getting rid of him and using him like that, puts her, higher up too.
Well, that's the thing, is like she could have just used him to like make herself look better and not nuke him, but she nuked him. That tells me that's the primary goal, was nuking him. It also makes her look better. So I'm hoping we get to see more of her character, right? Like it doesn't have to be a whole episode or anything, but like she's a pawn and a player for what will probably become the First Order. So, because I don't know how far away in the continuities the Force Awakens is at this point.
Okay.
Who knows? Because it's supposed to be like 30 years, so probably not immediate. But yeah, that was a bit of a surprise. Wasn't expecting that outcome out of it. And it for Dr. Pershing, it really is tragic because he is genuinely someone that wants to do good and was willing to put himself at risk to do it, and he got lobotomized for it. So
yeah, and to me that's kind of how it goes. It's almost kind of like the whole thing with the prison system and how they want to rehabilitate, quote unquote, but then they set you up to fail. So it kind of reminded me of that too. Like it just, it's funny how the whole thing in rehabilitation is almost just so you can sound civil, but it's still a meat grinder. But you have to make it. You can't call it that. You can't. It's still the ejection button. You just call it something nice.
Yeah.
But the results are the same though, in a way.
Yeah, because like.
Because really, they had no intentions for him. Like I said, for him to be that smart and to have him doing what he's doing, that just kind of shows that he's kind of lost to the system. And I don't know, maybe he would have went up for ranks. Maybe they would have used his plans later. I don't know, but I think what they showed us it just said a lot. They just said a lot. It wasn't about that, because if it was about rehabilitation or trying to get him on the right path, at least have a face to face of a human to have a talk with him. At least.
Right. It's something along the lines, you stick with the program another 6 months, we can set you with job programs, you're really qualified to do this, like boom boom boom. But yeah. And it's one of those things too, is like there's how much are we, as writers depicting just what the actual system was, as opposed to how do we want to depict the system to tell the story we want to tell.
Yeah.
Right? Because if they had just done a couple things where it's like, oh no, I've got like a 3-year plan, like they've already identified me, then it's like, well, how does then Aaliyah entice him to put that at risk, right? So
yeah, I thought it was nicely done.
I saw people bitching about it because it wasn't.
Are you serious?
Mando. Yeah, because it wasn't Mando. Like, what's this Pershing thing? Like why isn't it Mando? Like even the.
Don't you want that world to be bigger and stronger, so he'll make him seem like he's, the more you put into that thing that connects to Mando, the more he could flourish, the more nuance he can have, the more things you can do. the more things you could do.
People are like, give me the pew pews.
Everybody wants an open world, right? You want the open world so you can have more options, so you can have more, more adventures. If you just in a box hopping in a circle, it ain't gonna get that deep. It can't. Man, like Andor. You see how that became so off a character that you wouldn't think twice about, but that world just. It all mattered. It all mattered, and he was in the character and Andor was better for it.
Don't gotta convince me.
Yeah, the character he normally would just disregard made him better. Yeah.
It's interesting because like I'm looking at the ratings on IMDb now. Episode 1, 7.5. Yeah, I agree with that. Episode 2, mine's Mandalore, 8.4. Big jump, totally agree with it. The Convert drops down to 7.2. It's not as exciting, viscerally exciting, because like, there's not as much combat. I mean, there is, because I'm pretty sure the whole like dogfight happens in the first bookend of episode 3, but I think they just didn't like, because it wasn't about Mando.
Are people really that close-minded to nuances and to growth?
Some people.
It's in the same damn world.
I mean, the difficult thing with like some of these critiques and stuff is like how much of it is sort of like the algorithm likes contentious issues, so we're gonna put out hot takes and prioritize those, right? I have seen other things where like people are like, man, these episodes are fucking great. So
yeah. Well, I'm enjoying them for sure.
I love the fact now that instead of this season arc being about the mines of Mandalore, now it's about, really in my mind, sort of like, what is Bo-Katan going to do now that she knows the mythosaur is real? She's got a newfound family, and how is that going to impact Din, right? So it's going to be interesting to see like what the focus stays on. The other thing I was mentioning last time, like, we hadn't seen the scientist yet. That's in the trailer. The other thing that's in the trailer is Navarro. Because there's clips of Mando's clan jumping out of Bo-Katan's ship to fight the pirates. Like, they're jetpacking down onto Navarro. So clearly that's going to become a focal point. I don't know if that's like the big climax at the end of the season or not, but I could see a thing where like, as a way to take Din's coven with the armor and the other Mandalorians there from, we are just trying to survive, to we are going to be Mandalorians, and that means protecting. If we can't protect others, how can we protect ourselves? How are we going to be able to say we can reclaim and protect Mandalore if we can't protect Navarro, right? Not as like, we're going to go and do that so we can feel better about ourselves. I think in the process of getting pulled in to protect Navarro, there's a moment of them finding a new version of themselves, right? That calls back to the old Mandalore before the Empire crushed them, right? That doesn't undermine the creed, that reinforces the creed, right? So I think that battle as sort of a cauldron into their new collective identity, which Bo-Katan might, I don't know, might have some play in, I think will be interesting to see.
Yeah, because they don't introduce stuff for nothing. So Bo-Katan for sure, Aaliyah for sure, and whatever she got going on with Moff Gideon.
Well, the beautiful thing is like,
Mando
you have
his arc.
You have the Mandalorians trying to reclaim Mandalore, but which Imperial was responsible for that? Moff Gideon. So if you want, probably not this season, but if you want them to sort of also symbolically reclaim it, it also means taking down the person that destroyed their homeworld, right? So he's probably going to show up again to be an obstacle for them reclaiming Mandalore with whatever machinations he's got.
Yeah, the fact that Elia is in there, that connection. Like I said, this is a smart show. They got the pieces, and it's not for nothing. Like I said, once again, Andor, you couldn't take anything for granted. You had these side grunt people or beat cop and, somebody working in the office, and it all
ties
mattered.
together.
It all tied together. No loose ends. It's for a purpose. And so it just made the pot a little bit more interesting.
You can really see her. It's like, all right, this is what they're setting up in episode 1, so we can do it here. And this is why the pirates are going to come back, because we need to defend Navarro. So
For the first episode, I wouldn't have thought like this. These 3 episodes already is telling you a lot. We'll see how it goes, but I'm just saying that's a lot already in these 3 episodes. Like, I thought it was just gonna be it could have just simply been him trying to go back and forth the whole season.
Oh God, that sounds exhausting.
For him jumping in the lake.
Oh, I gotta do a fetch quest. Oh, I gotta go get. I gotta get IG's memory unit on this other planet, and then I gotta go and do this. Okay, now we can go to the planet.
Right.
Just like, nope, went to the planet.
And so it's a trip, though. He went for a mission for that card that he didn't even need anyway. He didn't need the droid like he thought he did. I'm like, oh, okay. So
yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the IG droid, because it was sort of set up that Babu Frick, I think is his name, the droid specialist, like, if they can't get the parts, no one can. If that's going to come back at all. And now I'm guessing now. In whatever big fight that goes down between the pirates on Navarro and the local population and the Mandalorians, gonna be a moment where IG pops out fully restored and fucks shit up. Right? Because they've laid the groundwork that these guys are gonna repair him. Right? Get him fixed for you. And so now, when he does show up,
you will ride eternal, shiny and chrome.
All shiny and chrome. It won't be like, where did he come from? And like, oh, they fixed him. Yeah, go fuck him up, bud.
Yeah, definitely gonna play into something. Yeah, man. So I think we both feel good about what we have experienced with the first 3 episodes, at least so far. Like I said, I will agree the first one was a little bit rocky. That second one, I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. But then, like I said, with this third one and the introduction of these characters and this new kind of plot thread, I'm like, oh, it's going to be deeper. So,
yeah, I really want to see what they're going to do with that. Because, I feel like they're setting up a threat, and it's most likely the return of Moff Gideon, right? And we may not see much of him this season,
right?
But it sets up season 4.
I think most of the time with big bads, you don't want them in every episode anyway. That's how they kind of keep their
keep them special. Yeah. And I think I mentioned last time, like, they've already written out like the arc of season 4 for this, because they have to keep it in alignment with all the other live action shows that are coming.
Right.
So.
Right on. So, do you have any other final words about this episode?
No, not that there's this doublet of episodes. It'll be interesting to see, like we saw, I think, with with Andor, like arcs, like triplets of episodes. I don't know if they're gonna do that here or not. It'd be interesting. But they're doing fine without it at the moment, right? It'd be very interesting to just like have the time to just binge watch the whole thing once it's all out and just feel how that flow is. But like, I'm not complaining. Like, I had my quibbles on episode 1, but like, dude, 2 and 3, nice.
Yeah, I agree. Especially, like I said, the action and stuff. Well, action in both of them, but They were definitely on a different level. Episode 2 for sure. And then this gave us like a 1-2 punch with the story and the intrigue, and also along with the action and the dog fight and all that kind of stuff. Because it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. I don't know. I can't control what people think and how they feel about stuff, but I don't know. I'm digging it. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It's more than I thought it was going to be already. I'm fine with something basic too, as long as it's just done well. But to have like an extra little thing going, I definitely welcome it.
Well, I like that they leapfrogged past doing a whole season of Mind's Mandalore, but this focus, at least on these episodes on Bo-Katan, I think brought, like, it worked really well, right? And I'm not upset by it. We still have, you know, Din is definitely a primary character, but as far as the one that I think is driving it emotionally for 2 and 3 is Bo-Katan, and I'm not upset by that at all.
Me either. And I don't think I was even digging her really that much, but the way the character's been portrayed and the situation, that's what really kind of builds a character the right way anyway, is the things that they go through and really earn their place with you. And I think she really did, because she seemed like just like a hard ass, prideful, and she just, you know, shows that she really does care, that she's resourceful, that, you know, her thoughts of even her own culture, what she really thinks of it, just all this insight that you have that lets you add up for yourself what you think of that person, versus it just being so shallow that, you know, you're guessing, you could guess wrong. At least the answer you come up with, you earned that answer of that character, and you could choose your side, and you could be like, I don't like her, but I respect her now because I know this.
Right.
Or I like her because I know this about her, and it's just a hard shell she has on the outside because she's lost so much and she's just afraid now. So it's just to have that option. How do you want her? How do you want him? How do you want this? I love those options, and you could do that when that time could have been wasted on some silly stuff. I thought it was just great use of time, great use of storytelling, and I really dig it.
Yeah, it wasn't empty action at all, right? It was just the emotional weight was through Bo-Katan as opposed to Din.
Yeah, because she could have been that mean chick that was in that castle sitting in that. That's what I thought it was going to be.
Right.
That could have been her whole thing. Her just sitting. Each time they go back, she's sitting on the throne. And what?
Right.
Each time. Left. You back again. And what?
It's like King Conan. Can you really be a king without a kingdom?
Right, exactly. And she got off of that throne and handled business, and I've been feeling it ever since. Well, all right, so that's been Jay and Ryan, and we're discussing
2 and 3 of season 3 of The Mandalorian,
entitled
The Minds of Mandalore and the Convert.
Man, those are good. Can't wait for the next ones. It's been a pleasure. Until next time, peace.
In the galaxy. Sticking with it.
I see that. All right.
No shame.
Hey, it's Jay. If you enjoyed my conversation with Ryan, please check out our episodes where we talked about The Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett, Spider-Man No Way Home, and the movie Batman. Thanks for listening, and until next time, peace.